Good morning. We're gonna be heading to the farmer's market soon, and I'm gonna be smart and eat first this time, so let's make some biscuits. Homemade biscuits are one of those things I really wish I would have learned to make earlier in life, because I remember having toddlers that would only eat the bread, and this is a fantastically easy thing to be able to whip up at home. I'm gonna start off by putting the oven at 425. I finally got a mic for the channel. I'm very excited. I hope you can hear me and not that. In the bowl, I have 250 grams of flour, which is about 2 cups. Now I'm using a higher protein all-purpose. I'm using the Kirkland brand one, which will be important later on, but whichever one you have in the house will adjust either way. To that, I'm gonna add 1.5 tablespoons of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of salt. And it doesn't have to be crazy mixed in, just get it incorporated. We need to add a stick of very cold butter. Now you can either chop these up really small or you can grate them. My grater only has teeny tiny holes, so I'm just gonna chop it up. I did not know before moving to New England that air conditioning is very uncommon in Maine. So we have them upstairs, but not one in the kitchen. So as this needs to stay fairly cold, I'm gonna need to work pretty fast. So they're not gonna be pretty. Once you have everything all chopped up or grated and thrown in, you're actually going to start squeezing it into the flour. So you wanna make sure everything is covered and that it's more little pieces. Now, if you've grated your butter, this will be a very minimal process, but if you've just chopped it, you're gonna wanna make sure it turns almost into like a shaggy mixture here. So you can see it's got lots of little pockets of butter stuck through it. That's what we want. That's gonna make all of the fluffy pockets inside of our biscuits. There we go. You want sort of a crumbly, sandy mixture like that. That's perfect. I need to keep a counter of how many times I leave to go wash my hands during this because I went to put on my last pair of gloves and they ripped. Wearing gloves for this is fantastic. All right, to this mix, I'm gonna add 3/4 cup milk. You might need a little more depending on what flour you used. And some honey. If you don't keep honey in the house, sugar is okay. I just have a preference for it. The reason the kind of flour becomes important is these higher protein flours, the unbleached, the less processed ones, are gonna typically absorb more milk than your bleached, all-purpose, enriched, sifted ones. And I truly do think both of them have their place in the kitchen. I've made enough pastries to understand that, you know, there's a purpose for different kinds of flour. The Kirkland AP is my go-to for things like this or bread because I feel like it gets a gluten structure much better and it's a little more stable. So even though I said 3/4 cup for this, you're looking for about this consistency. So it's a little shaggy, it can stretch, it's got little pockets in it. It's not too terribly wet, but it does need to be a little moist because we're gonna be rolling it out. So once you've got about that consistency, don't overmix it, don't break up that butter even more than we did, just leave it alone for a sec. And then add more milk as needed. For your shaping, you can actually just press this out with your hands and shape it that way. That is totally fine, or you can use a rolling pin. It's a personal preference thing. I'm gonna use a rolling pin because I like them to be more even. Having 2 kids really close in age means you really always wanna get things as uniform as possible so they have nothing to argue about. The kids are 16 and 18 now, but we'll still find a reason to bicker over their food. I'm just gonna use my spatula and get this turned out. Nice and easy. You can see, big sticky ball, lots of fun pockets. These are gonna make great biscuits. This is a stage that it's very easy to add too much flour, which is why I err on the side of caution when I'm making the dough and make it a little wetter at first. So we're gonna go ahead and start getting this shaped out. This amount of dough is great for 6 to 8 big biscuits. So we have lots of cutters in the house. I love cookie cutters so much. I'm gonna do my heart ones this time. If you find that your cookie cutter is sticking too much, then you can absolutely dip it into flour first. But I'm just going to gently cut out my biscuits. If I were doing this in a professional environment, I would probably throw away this extra little scrap of dough left over after I cut them out, but I'm not working in a kitchen anymore, so I'm gonna make myself an ugly little biscuit to eat at the end. I'm gonna get these all set out on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper, and I'm gonna get them in the oven at 425 for about 10 minutes. It's been 10 minutes and we have the cutest, flakiest, ready to go biscuits. These are good with jam, honey, butter, or even breakfast gravy, but that's the next video. I'm gonna go eat my biscuits and head to the farmer's market. Bye!